The
What? Fam, what's this video? SEAL Team 6 smoked these pirates. What the fuck?
The Navy SEALs clenched their fists as they heard Jessica Buchanan desperately pleading for her life.
It's they're on 15 minutes long.
The American teacher had participated
This is gonna be the last video.
in Somalia before being kidnapped by several pirates. Now she lay sick and starving somewhere in the desert, defenseless against the whims of her heavily armed captors. The operators of the famous SEAL Team 6 would do everything.
Hey, so what? By chance, what?
News followed the next. Gale force winds would force the sailors to jump out of the aircraft at more than twice the wind speeds of what would have normally canceled the jump. On top of that, they were in the middle of a solar storm, which could block radio communications to support units for hours. The SEALs would have to prove that they were among the best before they even touched the ground. Any other mission would have been delayed by at least a day. But the warriors knew Jessica didn't have those 24 hours. And so they donned their parachutes, checked their oxygen tanks, and then jumped into the unknown darkness and one of the most daring hostage rescues ever.
Yo, I could be in the SEAL Team 6. I ain't gonna lie. I could be in the SEAL Team 6, bro. Like, y'all, bro, I'm really not there in the head, bro. I could be in the SEAL Team 6, bro. I get a nigga out of here quick, you feel me?
Jessica Buchanan was 32 years old and living with her husband in one of the safer areas of Somalia. Together with her Danish colleague, Paul Thisted, she worked for a large aid organization, educating children about the dangers of anti-personnel mines that were widespread throughout the country.
That's space right there, bro.
On her next assignment, she had to travel dangerously close to the so-called Green Line, an invisible line behind which lay the areas controlled by Islamists. The security situation in the Horn of Africa was already tense as it was, with bomb attacks and small skirmishes between rival tribes occurring almost regularly. However, Jessica had not come to Africa to hide behind walls, so she decided to conduct the anti-mine training anyway. At first, everything seemed to go without incident. But on October 25th, 2011, the day of their return trip, everything was about to change for the two humanitarian workers. The first thing that struck Jessica as suspicious was her driver.
Introducing the second...
You see, now that I got an ad, I gotta kill space for her. Like, why she give me ads for her?
Instead of their usual chauffeur, a completely unknown man was sitting in the Land Cruiser who was supposed to take them to the airport. Her Danish colleague, however, seemed to be in a hurry and climbed into the passenger seat unimpressed, which is why Jessica stopped worrying. Then, after only 10 minutes of driving, it happened. A massive car forced the convoy to an abrupt halt. Nearly 30 men with AK-47 assault rifles jumped out of several vehicles, banging on the Land Cruiser's windows and yelling orders in a language Jessica didn't understand. Before she could even realize what was happening to her, one of the pirates pointed his gun to her head while her security advisor was violently dragged from the vehicle. A heavily armed man sat down in the vacant seat and gave orders to Jessica's driver, who willingly hit the gas and showed who he was really working for. It wasn't long before they stopped again and switched vehicles amid loud shouting from the...
Me versus 20 pirates. Gone. Gone, just like that, bro.
Pirates. The whole thing seemed very well planned, although the kidnappers had obviously consumed too much khat, a plant common in Africa which acts similar to amphetamines. After the pirates stopped in the middle of nowhere, Jessica and Paul had to prepare their own execution, only to be sent back to the car just before their tragic end. The pirates didn't care at all about the lives of the relief workers, but in order to collect the highest possible ransom, they needed their hostages unharmed. For them, it was fun to mock the powerlessness of the West on the other side of the world. Jessica and Paul, meanwhile, were living their nightmare. They could do nothing, as they were at the mercy of the barbarians and didn't even know if anyone had noticed their disappearance.
What would y'all do in this situation, bro? Like, some pirates kidnapped y'all, and yeah, they put you on camera just like this. What y'all doing, bro? Like, what y'all doing in this situation, bro? You accept your fate at this point? Yo, oh my God. Like, yo, what would you do? Like, what could you do, bro? See me personally, bro. I'm gonna start flying up in the air. I'm gonna super jump in the air, start flying, laser beam all of them. They dead. Just like that. Fuck. Like, he's pointing that gun right at the back of his head too. He can't do anything. You would actually freak out. See, I'm a Spider-Man, so you know, that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. Play the video.
But Washington was not only aware of the abduction of the humanitarian workers, it had already initiated first countermeasures. Jessica's aid organization had notified the American embassy in Nairobi immediately after the assault, which in turn informed the FBI. From here, phone calls were made to family members to reassure them and dissuade them from acting rashly. Even before the end of the day, high-ranking officials briefed U.S. President Barack Obama, and while the pirates were preparing to contact authorities, Jessica Buchanan was already a top priority at the White House. Paul Thisted later recounted that the best thing that could have happened to him was to be kidnapped with an American. Both hostages and pirates were soon to find out what that meant. Almost 3 months later, Jessica was still in captivity. Good news was that she was still alive. Bad news was that despite slow negotiations, no agreement could be made for a ransom, as the pirates had even refused $1.5 million, enough money that each of them would be set up for at least 30 years.
Wait, what were they asking for? How much were they asking for, bro? What the fuck?
Every day, Jessica fought hunger, heat, and the
Why you tell me
constant
to
fear
shut
that
up,
the
bro?
kidnappers would harm her.
Matter of fact,
As if all of that wasn't bad enough, a urinary tract infection had spread through her body, and in the worst-case scenario, it could be fatal. In a final
Lord.
video message to Western authorities, she
Right.
joined Paul in begging for their lives and a quick payment of the ransom. Otherwise, she would either die from her infection or fall victim to the whims of pirates drugged with khat. That night, Jessica gazed up at the brightly lit starry sky and prayed. Unbeknownst to her, her prayers were answered when 10,000
that shit hard, yo. They got. I'm telling y'all, bro. They got orb, bro. You can't tell me that flick not hard, bro. You can't tell me that flick not hard,
miles
bro.
away, 24 cell phones suddenly rang. The men picking up the phones had long beards and were covered with tattoos. Some of them had the stature of a bear, while others looked like hardened marathon runners. But they all had one thing in common: their aura of absolute calm, self-confidence, and professionalism.
Yup.
They were all part of the famous SEAL Team 6, who had just been alerted for a hostage rescue.
You hear that? Oh my, yo, I'm trying to get introduced like that, bro. No other than a SEAL Team 6. What the fuck? Let them know.
Self-confidence and professionalism. They were all part of the famous SEAL Team 6,
Bro,
who
like,
had
let 'em
just been
know.
alerted for a hostage rescue.
Like, let them know, bro.
Over the
Let 'em
next
know.
few weeks, SEAL Team 6's Blue Squadron trained day and night to rescue Jessica, her pleading voice from the video message always in the back of their minds. The warriors had hunted gruesome men all over the world, but when it came to the lives of women and children, they were especially motivated. On January 25th,
Yo, they should torture them. This is like IRL Siege. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Ain't none of that interrogation, bro. Yo, we should torture them. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. They probably definitely did, but they don't talk about it because they might lose their job or something like that. Or that's not part of the mission. Like me, I'm torturing. I ain't gonna lie. You get tortured. I know they get tortured. I know they do.
2012, the time had finally come. President Obama himself had given the green light for the hostage rescue.
Look at the bottoms. He know he fly, bro. Look at the tuxedo. That shit new. No. What you mean you not agree with me? You're just saying yeah. But you agree with me and you torturing, bro. Me and you. Me and space. We films and space. Her space. Torturing, bro.
24 of the best warriors the U.S. had to offer would
Sure.
risk their
See, I told
lives
you,
to
exactly.
try to free both hostages unharmed. Their plan was to parachute over Somalia and then approach the pirate camp on foot so as not to alert the enemy with loud noises. At the U.S. operations base in Djibouti, around 500
Djibouti. What? Bro.
miles from Jessica's location, everything military related which was useful in some way was gathered. At this point, the total operation cost was already well over $100 million. That was how much America was willing to spend to save just
Djibouti,
one
like,
citizen.
bro.
With final preparations completed, the SEALs boarded their C-130 transport aircraft and took off for Mogadishu.
They got their own handshake. Ugh! I'm joining the SEAL Team 6. I don't care. I'm joining right now.
Operations completed, the SEALs boarded their C-130 transport aircraft
Look
and
at
took
that!
off for Mogadishu. Remarkably, the pilots themselves had only just arrived and had been on a 9-hour flight right before, but performed their job just like business as usual. All eyes, including those of the president, who was monitoring the operation via live feed, were now on the hostage rescue.
Relentless, ultimate competitor.
Yo, SEAL Team. Yo, I ain't gonna lie to you. They got so much order, bro. Like, oh my gosh, bro.
As it turned out later, the kidnappers wanted to change their position on exactly this
I'm gone
night,
first
but
day.
had eaten spoiled meat and therefore ended up staying put. On the other side, however, a violent solar storm erupted, which hit the Earth's magnetic field so hard that radio waves, and thus radio communications with other support units, were disrupted. Meaning, in a worst-case scenario, no quick reaction force, no situation reports, and no close air support. On top of that, wind speeds were more than double what would have canceled a regular mission. But the rescue of Jessica Buchanan was not a regular mission, and every one of the 24 men on board was willing to take that extra risk. After about 3 hours in the air, the C-130 had reached their drop point. The SEALs rose from their seats, hooked up their oxygen tanks, and then dropped for more than 20,000 feet into the 40-knot wind. After only a few
I can't believe this. Yo, you know how mentally trained you have to be to even think about doing some shit like this, let alone being involved in it? Yo, being a man is so cool, bro. I don't care. There's so much fucking. Oh, I'm getting a boner. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. This shit is so cool, bro. Bro, I'm so glad, bro. I'm glad I'm a boy, bro. I don't give a fuck. I can't relate, bro. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying.
seconds of free fall, the operators had already reached 120 miles per hour, a speed which is normally achieved by competitive athletes in optimal conditions. Despite the absurd wind situation, the SEALs managed to land semi-cohesively, with a few runaways who were dragged across the savannah for hundreds of yards before separating from the parachute. Holding security for each other, the sailors put on their combat gear and wrapped up their chutes. From now on, they had to walk several miles through the more than 100-degree hot Somali night.
Look! They walking through 7 miles at scorching heat under all that uniform and weight. Man, I'm about to cry, bro.
After nearly an hour of
Yeah.
silent marching, the sailors reached their last cover before irreversibly committing to the assault. They were now only 500 meters from the pirate camp. Along the way, they had changed direction several times to always have the wind in their faces, eliminating any possibility of being spotted early. Every little detail counted when it came to sneaking as close as possible to the enemy. A hostage rescue differs
Bro,
from
my
normal
college
combat
boy, these guys
missions
got,
in that
like,
the hostage's
seriously,
life
bro,
is even more
yo.
important than fighting the enemy. The SEALs would literally run through machine gun fire if it meant they could save Jessica.
Oh my gosh! Bro, are y'all listening? Are y'all listening? Running through machine gun fire? If it meant to save Jessica's life? What? Bro. Yo, get this, yo. Whoever made this video, bro, he not getting paid enough, bro. He not getting paid enough, bro. I don't care. Whoever made this video did not get paid enough. They're not getting paid enough, bro. Yo.
Their goal was to remain undetected for as long as possible, then speed was of the essence. As the 24 warriors began to move again, the longest hour of their lives was about to begin. They had long been within earshot of the pirates, and only night's darkness kept them from the attention of enemy guards. As if in slow motion, one foot was silently placed forward, the weight shifted, and only then followed the next foot. An experienced SEAL named Justin Sheffield led the group. At his hand signal, the operators spread out far to the left and right to bring as many rifles forward as possible without walking into others' field of fire. Snipers positioned themselves on the outer flanks and monitored their comrades' actions.
No, don't ruin the orb, bro. Don't give me no ad, bro. Don't ruin it.
As the sailors moved forward in perfect unison, they could watch through their thermal scopes as the enemy sentries slowly became anxious and woke the other pirates. The SEALs quickened their pace, still perfectly steady. Sheffield aimed his laser at one of the Somali guards, and without having to say anything, his comrades did the same. The infrared beam was completely invisible to the pirates without night vision, but they sensed something moving in the darkness.
Wait, how?
With a loud clap,
Wait, whoa. Hold on. They got night vision lasers? How? What type tech? Lasers in the dark that you can only see if you had night vision on, like night goggles on? Hold up, what the fuck?
they racked their heavy PKM machine guns and got into position. The pirates pointed their weapons roughly in the direction from which they heard the sounds. The SEALs increased their pace once again, now less concerned with noise discipline than with closing the distance to the hostages before all hell broke loose. With a deafening noise, the pirates' machine gun kicked off and fired deadly 7.62 millimeter rounds at the operators, followed by several AK-47 assault rifles. The snipers had been waiting for just this moment and almost immediately silenced the enemy machine guns before seeking new targets. With surgical precision, the Navy SEALs returned fire while simultaneously fighting their way forward to find Jessica. In a similar hostage rescue, French special forces failed to overwhelm the hostiles quickly enough, resulting in the execution of the hostage.
Don't let the YNs find out about those night vision beams.
Each of the SEALs was prepared to
Don't
do
let me
anything
find
to avoid just that.
Yo.
The hundreds of hours on the shooting range under simulated stress conditions paid off when they spotted two pirates with AKs standing right over Jessica, who was crouched on the ground. Sheffield and another SEAL broke away from the formation and both made sure these pirates never kidnapped anyone again with accurate shots. When Sheffield...
Oh my god, bro. I'm about to combust, like this is like an overload, bro. This is like an overload, bro. I can't take it no more. I can't, bro.
It's never kidnapped. Sheffield and another SEAL broke away from the formation and both made sure these pirates never kidnapped anyone again with accurate shots.
But accurate.
When Sheffield saw the American's bright face, he dove on top of her in the ongoing firefight, shielding her from the enemy crossfire with his own body. More SEALs joined in, and within seconds, the teacher was protected by multiple layers of the world's best warriors. Although the operators themselves all had wives and children, they put the hostage's life above their own. Meanwhile, another comrade had taken care of Paul Thisted, protecting him from enemy fire as well. After all 9 pirates were neutralized and the gunfire stopped, Sheffield put Jessica on his shoulders and sprinted out of the pirate camp, as far away from any danger as possible. The other SEALs formed a human shield around the two, ready to resume the fight at any moment. After running as far as his feet would carry him after this energy-sapping battle, Sheffield dropped Jessica off. Para-rescue jumpers, the U.S. Air Force's specialized rescue force, tended to the American woman, who still couldn't believe she had just been rescued by her countrymen. As she anxiously asked, "What if more come? More could come." Sheffield coldly replied, "We are SEAL Team 6. We will kill anyone who tries to harm you now."
gotta let it out. I gotta let it out, bro. Like, my dick's about to blow up, bro. Like, my dick's about to blow up, bro. I gotta use the bathroom, bro. I gotta use the bathroom, bro. Something just came out, bro. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Yo, a white tear just came down my leg, bro. Low key, a white tear just came out of my leg, bro. I ain't gonna cap, bro. I gotta use the bathroom.
She was visibly reassured by that convincing answer of the bearded warrior who had just rescued her from the worst situation of her life. After the SEALs blew up the pirates' arms depot, they still had to march to the landing zone of the exfiltration helicopter. Whenever a suspicious noise was heard somewhere, or reports of enemies came in over the radio, it took only a few seconds for Jessica to find herself under a layer of Navy SEALs trying to protect her with their own bodies. Fortunately, however, there was no more fighting, and the American, accompanied by the SEALs, ran independently to the Black Hawk that would fly her to freedom. Behind her lay 3 months of captivity among heavily armed pirates, during which she could never be sure that she would live to see the next day. The selfless efforts of the men of SEAL Team 6 had finally saved her. As she reflected on the last few months, one of the soldiers on board knelt beside Jessica, looked her in the eye, handed her a beautifully folded American flag, and said, "Welcome home, Jessica." For those who have made it this far,
God.
thanks for watching.
Oh my God!
If you want to support...
It's coming up, bro. Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit, bro! Holy shit! Holy fuck, bro! Holy fuck, bro! I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Whoa. Whoa. If that ain't put fire in y'all heart, I don't know what will. If that ain't put fire in y'all heart, I don't know what will. I'm not gonna lie. Bro, I wanna end it just like that. Like, I wanna end it right there. Like, I got no words. I got no words, bro. That vid was tough. I ain't gonna lie. That vid was